defining what the future is supposed to be lies in our hands. We got a lot to play. That is why we are supposed to raise up and open our voices, take up the platforms and the spaces that are available to speak about what is going on and informing policy. It is the very reason as to why we are launching our webinar series today.
My name is Marleen Dekker. I'm the coordinator of the Secretariat of Knowledge platform Include. Include was established in 2012 by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The knowledge platform specifically aims to bridge the gap between research and policy, trying to make sure that relevant research that is done doesn't just sit on a shelf, but is actually used to inform policy discussions and policy making. This doesn't entail sort of presenting evidence and recommendations on a silver platter, but is really about a dialogue between researchers on the one hand and policymakers and practitioners on the other hand. In our specific case, we focus on inclusive development. The constituting group of Include is a group of mothers and fathers or thinkers from Africa and the Netherlands. And they have together formulated the knowledge agenda of Include and are also active in taking part in these policy dialogues, both within the Netherlands, but also in Africa. Within the overarching theme of inclusive development, we focus on access to basic services, specifically education and social protection, political participation and representation, and economic structural transformation with a focus on employment for women and youth.
Youth employment has always been high on Include's agenda. Since 2019, we partner up with the International Development Research Center in Canada, as well as the International Labour Organization in Geneva, to launch a multi-stakeholder research initiative called Boosting Decent Employment for Africa's Youth. This project is implemented under the umbrella of the Global Initiative for Decent Jobs for Youth, and it has three main components. Firstly, we generate new evidence on themes related to soft and digital skills, as well as fostering work-based learning and mentorship for youth in Africa. Secondly, we build a community of practice for people who work in the field. And thirdly, we synthesize the existing knowledge through a series of evidence synthesis papers on topics pertinent to youth employment challenge. These papers are published open access on our website, and they are also available through the knowledge facility of the Global Initiative, and we invite everyone to have a look. Among many interesting results of these papers, it became clear that youth is still not adequately involved in the discussions that concerns them. It starts with the most basic one, namely, what does decent job mean to you? To act on these findings, Include partner up with Francis Arana Itwe, a board member of Restless Development in Uganda, to organize a webinar series where youth from different African countries can tell us more what decent job means to them. So before you hear more about Include's work in the field of youth employment, I invite you to watch a short summary from the first webinar we held in Uganda. Your comments and thoughts, how does it resonate with you, are very welcome in the chat.
A decent job is something that you're doing, that you love doing, that you like doing, but of course something that pays you a fair pay, like ILO puts it, and also something that gives you something not just for living, but something to survive.
I work, I learn, I earn, and I thrive, then that could be decent. But in addition to that, I should be able to have, just like Ilo says, a high sense of dignity.
Well, before we even come to the word decent, let me also expound on what it will take to have jobs in Uganda. That is through entrepreneurship.
If we give the youth the mentorship and the guidance that they need to go into self-employment, to me, that is a safe and decent job.
A decent job in Uganda should be in position to ensure occupational health and safety standards. And then secondly, it should be in position to offer decent pay, a pay that is able to enable them fend for themselves, survive by themselves, their families, and any other person that depends on them. So
this is something where I can earn a fair income. I have security both at work and some social protection. But of which in Uganda, very, very few organizations or very few sectors do this.
In Uganda, it's called where when you're comparing the ILO definition and the Ugandan and the labor market for youth in Uganda is something incomparable, because the majority of the youth, they are working for daily living. In Uganda, it's called emereyalero, where they are working to get something to eat today. Majority of them, they belong in informal sector.
we cannot just restrict them to the formal sector. We cannot just restrict them to informal sector. My view is that they are achievable in both the informal and formal sector. It just depends on the interest and intention of the employers who are providing this work, and also the flexibility and mindset of the people who are providing themselves and providing their service to these employers.
So the problem that young people are facing is they want to live a lifestyle that they are not able to afford, and they do not want to do certain jobs just because they feel people will judge them and all that. So the person will tell you, how will my girlfriend see me as a chapati person? You know, how will my girlfriend see me as a person who is doing, who is working in a hotel, in a restaurant? You understand?
But when I finished university, I had a degree in information systems and technology, but I didn't get work. I decided to go into piggery, and right now I still do agriculture. But my colleagues will look at me as someone who is a failure. So what I would advise my fellow youth is, don't look at a decent work as you working for a white collar job.
You find that nowadays the jobs that involve hands-on skills are the ones that are paying more. I have friends with degrees, but they're earning more through photography, you know, and that's something some of us in Uganda look at as an indecent job. But there's money in photography, printing, and welding. So because we have this misconception that a decent job has to be white collar, you have to be working for a big organization or a company, you're going to have to live something that is actually bringing you good income, you're happy, and it's something of your own to go and do something else. I believe that there can be decent jobs in both the informal and formal sector. It's just about human dignity. How do we look at it? How do we view it as youth? And I believe it begins with our mentality.
Mindset means a lot in defining decency of a job. But me, I think decency lies in an individual having financial freedom and the ability to achieve basic needs at home. Whatever they are doing, which kind of job, themselves know whether it is decent or it is not decent.
There are differences when it comes to decent work for both men and women.
If you don't find something informal, then you go to the informal sector. Young women have actually really come out. Like we'll be watching on NTV News, NBS News, that this young woman is now, you know, has been driving like a border. There are quite a number of safe border women in it. There are women who have gone into agriculture and have big chunks of land and are doing agriculture at a very large scale. And I mean, they've come out to actually show men that it is not only in the formal, in the white collar jobs that we can have a decent pay, but it is even in this informal sector where we are doing this on our own and we are becoming bosses of ourselves that we are able to do this.
I think there is need for meaningful engagement of young people so that we really get to know what exactly they are engaged in.
We change the conditions of poor conditions of informal sector to make them to make that sector very attractive. So my idea on that is about to mobilize the people in informal sector, organize them, and empower them. For example, we can have what we call traditional or informal social protection. In traditional informal social protection, here we can, is still in informal sector, we can organize it and make it decent, or we have jobs in that sector which are decent. So it's just a matter of changing the conditions, and those conditions can be changed by our mindset.
Let these formal sectors start by employing youth on their different managerial levels. For I believe that the youth, we understand our problems better than anyone else.
As a youth, we need to be bold and attack our education system. How? I feel like our education system is so theoretical. You find that you've spent 16 years in school and you end up doing something you don't love. So I think we need to invest more in skilling the youth, you know. I think as youth, we need to be bold enough to, you know, advocate for a change in our education system. And I think that's how we shall start having decent jobs and appreciating the jobs that others think are in, you know, not good for enough for us who have gone to school.
But what can be done in Uganda? Me, I think distance lies in self-employment. And self-employment, the environment in Uganda is not so friendly for young people, for everyone to start up a business, because very many people start up businesses and they fail to sustain them because we don't have that kind of support. The environment is not so friendly. It is not so supportive. That is why we have to advocate for the redefinition and review of financial inclusion approaches such that people can be able to start up businesses and etc.
The policy dialogues and include platform is a new way of thinking about evidence. The evidence that is generated is based on the needs, the interests, and the priorities of the stakeholders in that country, in that particular sector. The stakeholders are also part of the dialogues. One of the themes that has been a key focus in different African policy dialogues is youth employment. In 2016, the policy dialogues that specifically focused on youth employment issues were in Ghana, in Rwanda, and in Mozambique. And currently, the policy dialogues in Ghana and in Uganda are also focusing on youth employment issues. Another important aspect of the policy dialogues is that they involve the youth so that their voice is taken care of or is considered within the policy circles and policy dialogues. It is possible then to share this evidence with policymakers and other stakeholders. And it is expected that this evidence will be meaningful and useful in the formulation and implementation of policies and programs that can then contribute to inclusive development.